from createyourfuture.co. So today we have Denise joining us. Hi, Denise.
Hi, Amanda. Hi, guys.
You guys, so we have an exciting story. It's one of Denise's clients. It's a success story of how she actually manifested a brand new Mercedes, and basically every circumstance was against her. So, I mean, this is a true success story of circumstances don't matter. And she actually got her manifestation of her Mercedes instantly, even though had credit, barely any job, no money, everything was stacked up against her. So, and she does a really good job actually of explaining how she actually did it. So yeah, like usual, you know what? We're going to read the success story and then we're going to go through with some tidbits that you can actually use in your life to manifest what you want. So yes, Denise, exciting. Let's hear the story.
Yeah, here we go. Okay. So she says, Denise, I just love you and Amanda and really all of the coaches that create your future. I remember long ago being introduced to this channel, having no idea what the heck she and her Jerry doll were talking about, and leaving, returning, leaving again, being on another channel who believed in free will and saying that Amanda's crazy. LOL, sorry, Amanda.
And you know what? Okay. I actually created that. I remember you're like not even that long ago. I said to Andrea, I'm like, yeah, I'm everyone pushed out and everyone thinks I'm crazy.
People are going to think I'm
like, I don't even mind. I'm like, that for me is a manifestation come true. So I intend though that everybody says that I know what I'm talking about now.
She has a great head on her shoulders.
Right? Like she's down to earth, that one.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. And then she says, I digress, friends. I have come a long way since then. And after eating, breathing, and sleeping every technique, teacher, thought, approach, etc. that I could, I just knew that the time is now for some things I have been wanting. One of them being an SP, like so many people. I decided to get an appointment with Denise because I just really like her and I have had success with some other coaches, but was very ready for this to be my breakthrough of all breakthroughs. I already just knew that once I saw her face on the video call that everything was done. We discussed my SP and how her birthday was pending. And even though we haven't even been in contact and never had a romantic relationship in the first place, it is done. Okay, so here's the twist. She is still busy choosing the restaurant. However, just as I intended, my avalanche already began showing up in my life. The day after we talked, circumstances took me to a car dealership, and despite having horrible credit, a temporary job, and very little cash, I drove out with a white Mercedes-Benz C300 with black leather interior and wood grain, just as I had scripted about months ago. The story of how I landed there is a bridge of incidents that is just too much. The moral of the story is that I instantly felt the difference in my energy, feelings, all of the techniques, the chasing, the lack that I thought I had overcome by doing those very desperate and endless techniques. Yet all I had to do was just first learn, but then simply, as you always say, intend for this to happen. So now I have such emotional and mental freedom from the wanting of the SP and the other things. They are done, done, done as can be. Thank you so much, really. I have been walking on air for days. You sound great in my new sound system, too.
Oh my God, I'm so proud of her.
I know.
That's so amazing. I love it. I love it. You know, that's just it. You know, circumstances don't matter. You know, I mean, you can have anything and you can have it instantly, quickly. You know what I mean? Like things just they do that. Everything's already there. And
Yeah.
when you state it, it happens, right? So right now, you know what? I intend that, Jerry misses me. And all of a sudden Jerry gets a thought, oh, I miss her. But then I'm like, no, you know what? He didn't call me. He doesn't miss me. Then Jerry's like, I don't miss him. You know, everything's instant. Like what we choose to focus on, that's where things will stay. And it doesn't revert back until we notice our manifestation. But then we change it. Sometimes we don't even see the manifestation because we're too busy going back and forth in our heads. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. That's what, yep. It's like it doesn't always have to manifest, but you can go there and be in that place of not having the thing you want, and you're there because you're feeling it and you're not having it, but it will still, you can turn yourself out of it and it'll manifest so that it happens. Also, yeah, the thing about the universe is like, it is done. Everything is done. And the universe isn't giving you things. It has actually already provided all the things that you could ever imagine. Like all of the circumstances that are possible are already in existence. And it's just your thought and your belief expectation that's creating them for you, or you're tuning into them. So circumstances don't matter because you've created them anyway. You focused on them. That negative circumstance that's in your way, the counter to it is already in existence. So changing your thought about that circumstance, letting it disintegrate, replacing it with a new one, or simply deciding it doesn't matter, I'm still going to get what I want, like she did in this video. She didn't try to change those circumstances and say, well, my credit's excellent, I'm manifesting a bunch of cash for this car, you know, they're not going to worry about the job thing. She didn't do any of that. She just decided these 3 things that are up against me don't matter, I'm still going to get what I want. I just went at it.
Exactly. As general, as specific as you want, right? So, you know, I mean, but that's just it. It's about taking and becoming aware of those circumstances, and then, making the choice to say, it doesn't matter, I'm going to get it anyway. You know, and that's enough. You know, that's enough to get past it. One thing that I like that she talked about was the bridge of incidences, right? We always get this question, what is a bridge of incidences? How do I know that this is a bridge of incidences? Well, that's the thing. Bridge of incidences are only created through your assumptions. And you can only see what a bridge is when you look back. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not that there's a bridge out there and your path is laid out and you need to choose the correct path. And, oh, if you say yes to that and no to that, then you're down the wrong one and you're not creating your bridge of incidences. You make the assumption that whatever's you're up against for a choice is going to be the right path to build that bridge of incidences. So you can only see it looking back. So very, very good that she brought that up so we could explain that. Yeah.
And even if you're in the midst of something occurring and you can go either way, that's when you want to say, somehow, some way, this is leading me closer to what I want. Somehow, some way, this is still getting me closer to what I want.
Exactly. You've got to use everything to our advantage, right? But, you know, I think the most important thing, right, is to become aware of, you know, our blocks if things aren't showing up. To become aware, there's nothing wrong with recognizing it. In fact, you need to recognize it. You know, I remember, and I've used this story before, when I go to the dentist, I hear a drill, I feel nervous, you know, and I just don't know what my thought is. But also, when I think about it, it's like, because it hurts. I don't like getting right. So now that I become aware of that thought, then I was able to fix it. And I said, look, my teeth are always perfect. Every time I go there, my dentist says I'm cavity free. And I haven't had a cavity in years. Okay. And I'm not going to ever again. Okay. You know, because I take care of my teeth properly. See, all these intentions I built around to avoid, you know, basically, right? So you got to pull them out to become aware of them, because they're your brain thinks it's doing you a favor. You know, it's like Jerry can't drive on Saturdays. Okay, like he's terrible at driving. Okay, so guess what? He's going to be until I change that. Jerry's great at driving. Sorry, all the Jerrys out there. Jerry's great at driving even on Saturdays.
All days, Jerry's. You can all drive all days very well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So make a list of your circumstances that you think are in the way. Like, write out, what's your story? What are your circumstances that are keeping you from having what you want? Cross them off, replace them with the counter, replace them with the opposite, supporting what you want, and then focus on that. Put your attention there. Or like she did, decide it doesn't matter, I'm still getting what I want. Somebody's going to overlook all these circumstances.
Well, exactly, right. Exactly. So, so I mean, that's just it, is to I love that idea, you know, become aware of them and then change them, definitely. Definitely.
I have a quick little excerpt from a Neville audio that I listened to, and he says, to attempt to change circumstances before first changing our imaginal activity is the struggle against the very nature of things. Life is a continuous solution to a continuously synthetic problem, which I really love that, because it's a constant reminder that all these problems, these circumstances, are just synthetically created by our thoughts. And so our solution is also in our thoughts. Think your way through it. Think your way through it by focusing on the opposite.
Absolutely. I mean, exactly. So, you know, it's not about even taking outward action to get past your circumstances. It's to, you know, to inwardly change that that is a problem. You know, I mean, that is huge. That's such a good quote. I'm speechless. It's got me speechless.
I love it. As within, so is without.
Right. Well said. Absolutely well said. You know, I think all too much, one thing I know we've talked about this a little bit, but I want to go back to it, is thinking, I can't think of the negative. I can't, be aware, or let myself become aware of the bad thing, right? But that's not the truth. You've got to become aware of it. It's not even a bad thing. You've just got to become aware that you're creating it. And once you do that, you change it. And how often do you reaffirm and change to the new, intention to get past that circumstance? As much as you feel like you need to, until you're like, okay, this is not even an issue. Like, seriously, I don't even know why. You know how many times that I've been sitting at one day, okay, and I've been creating intentions, trying to create something, and I've had this feeling like, oh, I got to do more, and then the next day I look at those intentions and I'm like, what was I even thinking yesterday? Like, oh my God, like that's gonna so totally manifest. Like, what was I even like? You know what I mean? Like,
no big deal. That's already done.
Well, exactly, right? Like, it sat with me long enough. It's funny. I was, reading about how the mind works not too long ago. And one thing that really, it didn't shock me, but one thing that reminded me of, and I reviewed again, was the fact that our brain works on repetition and consistency. Okay. So as long as we repeat something consistently, our brain will actually accept it as a belief. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so what that means is that we want to fill our mind with as much good things about our self-concept, about things in our life, that we can have things. And the more we do it, the more we're actually going to create it to become an actual thing in our reality. But then that's the same true for the negative things. That it doesn't work out for me. Everything always works out for me. All this stuff, we've got to watch what we're thinking to ourselves all day, because the things that get repeated, what ends up is they end up creating in our reality, right? So
going back to how often do you repeat it until it happens, until it shows up, or use how often are you thinking the negative thought as a trigger. So every time I think the negative thought, I'm going to think this new positive one 3 to 10 times, or whatever, however many times you want. And then, well, how long do I do that for? You do it until it shows up, or until those negative thoughts disintegrate, which means it's going to show up. Like, it's
right. You know what? One thing too, I just remembered, I wanted to throw it in today's video, and this is so random, okay, like completely random, but we've gotten this question before, is like, what about, manifesting while we're drinking, like stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. So, under the influence of things. Now, one thing that I'd like to put out there with that is it does alter our thinking patterns. And a lot of times we will revert back to old thinking patterns that may have not gotten us what we've wanted in the past. But those thoughts, they're still creating, whether you remember them or not. Right. So, how does, any influence of any substance affect your manifestation? It doesn't. Your thoughts are still creating, whether you're straight or under the influence of anything, right? So it's about controlling your thoughts. And if we are going to indulge in, beverages or whatever, and then lose control of our thoughts, then that's going to slow down our manifestation. And that would be the only factor there, right? So anytime I've created something huge in my life, that I've made a huge change that's been really important to me, is I've laid off of whatever substances, alcohol or whatever, you know what I mean, to make that change, right? And that's been the most important thing. So if you can, though, socially enjoy whatever substances are legal in your country and still maintain your thoughts, then there's nothing, wrong with that. But, I will be honest, like back when I did coaching, the clients that didn't have any sort of habits like that did manifest a lot quicker than the ones that didn't, only because they weren't on top of their thoughts during those hours that they were partaking in whatever, celebrations, right?
Yeah. And I had this come up recently. There's the topic of, when you're hungover the next day and you're tired and you don't feel well, that can also be a time where it's a little more difficult to stay on your mental diet. So, because, circumstances like that do affect that. So that, depending on how often you're drinking too, be mindful of that.
Exactly. I can see it now, right? It's like, the first one or two, it's like, I got this, my life is great. I'm great, right? And then by number 9, it's like, blah, 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 I can't believe, blah, 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 you wouldn't believe it. I don't even, how dare he or how dare she, blah, 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 right? And then
right.
Experience. I've never done this, so, I mean,
and then the next day, oh gosh, what did I do? What did I talk about? What did I say?
So that day is complete cleanup, right? Complete cleanup. Oh, I've been there, right? So, I mean, You know,
Yeah.
luckily I've got somebody that says, do you think it's time that you stop? But, you know, I mean, so yeah, so I know that was a burning question that everybody's had. So yeah, like that would be, you know, basically it's just your thoughts. And, you know, as long as
Yeah.
you're able to keep disciplined and focused in your thoughts, then you're going to keep focused and disciplined on what you want. Unfortunately, those thoughts are not a free pass. They're
Yeah,
still
right.
working their magic like the rest. Right?
But I was drunk.
Right? They don't count. Only the calories don't count when it's wine, right? So,
Right.
so guys, you know, like Denise said, you know what? Take all of your circumstances, become aware of them, write them into intentions, or you can even say, look at none of this even matters. It's going to happen anyway, right? Yeah. The other thing we talked about is remember the law of assumption. So assuming that whatever's in front of you is going to get you closer to what you want, that's what's going to create a bridge of incidences, and you can only see the bridge of incidences after the fact. So, and yeah, as well, you know what? Watch your thoughts no matter what you're out there doing, because every thought is being listened to by every cell in your body, by every atom in this universe, in your little quantum bubble, because it's yours and it's constantly at your command, not just when you're when you're like 9 to 5, always,
Yeah.
always at your command, right? So, you know, definitely.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Denise.
Thanks for having me.
And guys, if you are looking for some extra help, Denise is, as you know, a coach here, and you can check out the link in the description below. And guys, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.